Right, so this week I'm going to show you how I made this display case. We're going to jump straight into it today, and we're going to measure up 2 boards of some unknown timber that I acquired from a house clearance. They're probably Seapple or mahogany. I'm not entirely sure. If you know, please put it in the comments below because it'll be really helpful. So we're making a hexagon display case. We need 6 sides, and with one board being longer than the other, I've trimmed it, and the trimmed bit is going to be the 6th side, and this long length is going to be 5 sides of the thing. And so I'm putting a line down the middle of both pieces and drawing across, and this will mark where my dowels need to go to join the 2 pieces of wood together. So using masking tape makes a great depth gauge so that you only drill half the length of the dowel into the piece of wood, therefore ensuring that the other half goes into the other piece of wood. So now all the holes are drilled for the dowels. We then need to make sure the dowels are fully glued. So use a little brush and then pop them into each of the little holes, and then give them a good tap with a hammer, and you want to hammer them in until the tone changes of the dowel, and that way you can ensure that the dowel is fully in the hole. And then you want to apply way too much glue, but I did get some really nice slow-mo gluing shots. Once both sides of the joint are glued, you then want to line up all the little dowels and squidge the 2 boards together. With so many dowels along this long length, it's helpful to have a clamp at one end and then try and clamp the other. It just stops everything popping out while you're trying to line it all up. I'm also going to clamp on a couple more pieces of wood onto the other side of these boards to try and hold them flat while the glue dries. These boards aren't exactly flat, and I don't have a jointer or thicknesser or whatever tool you're supposed to use to make them flat and square. So having joined them together, I'm going to plane off a little bit and then do some sanding to try and make them at least appear flat. Lovely ray of sunshine coming into the workshop. Okay, so to keep all the segments the same, we're going to cut all the grooves and lines and round the corners off while it's still one big board, and then we'll cut it into sections and assemble it. So we're going to round the corners over on the outside now because it still has an edge to run the bearing along. So okay, so I've drawn these lines here, and that's going to form the back panel of our cabinet unit thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the track saw, and we're just going to take lots of little bits out of it We're only going to go down sort of 5mm-ish. So now I've scraped out all of the little extra bits in that track. We're ready to cut the sides into the shape. So we're going to cut a 30-degree angle onto each end as we cut that big long board up into 5 sections. Right, okay, so we're going to do the middle bit now. And I've got a template that I measured off the sides. So this is 28.4. Okay, so we've got all the pieces for the hexagon. They're not attached, so we're going to attach them now. And we're going to do some doweling in between them. As we did with the big boards, there'll be 2 dowels. And we'll just do it in the same way. So I ended up mounting 2 sets of 3 together, and now we're going to unclamp it all and then join the 2 sets of 3 together, making the full hexagon for the back panel. So as you can see, we've got 2 halves. Got to get rid of this little mark here before trying to screw it together. So we're going to get the sander out. Okay, so we're ready to glue, and these joints are pretty tight, more or less, but these ones here, they're not quite perfectly lined up. The wood's got a slight bow to it, and it's really hard to get it out of, so I've got to the point now where it's close, and I've got these cardamom pods, or wood dust, from one of the projects I did. And we're going to mix that with some glue, and we're just going to fill the gaps. So there's no precise ratio that you need to mix these at, you just need to make a thick kind of paste that will hold itself together. I normally end up mixing enough in so that when you put it on a thing it doesn't drip or run down the side. So I'm using Danish oil to finish the wood. It goes on really nicely. You can just pour it on and let it soak in for a while, and then wipe the excess off whenever you're ready. I'm going to give it one coat now, and then a quick sand, and then another coat before finishing. It's not going to be in a really wet environment or anything like that, this display case, so it doesn't need any more than that. It just needs to be sort of wiped clean to get the dust and stuff off it every now and again, and that should be fine. So before I show you the glamour shots of the thing done, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of me making random things. It really helps the channel grow and gets more content and more enthusiasm for me to put more content out there. The plan for next week's video is to fill this display case with the thing I want to display. So hopefully YouTube will remind you that video is going to be a thing. And if not, I will link it at the end of this video.